Thank you, Mr. President. I first want to recognize my caucus colleagues for their eloquent speeches last week and to add my voice of support for efforts to address the pain, discrimination, and frustration that members of Black and brown communities face. I stand here today to speak out against racial prejudice and injustice. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to walk in the Pledge for Peace, Black Lives Matter March in Macomb County. It was an historic event, and I'm inspired by the thousands of people that participated peacefully and are fighting for fundamental change in our communities, state, and nation, saying loud and clear that Black lives matter. In my lifetime, I've witnessed the painfully slow attempts toward inclusion and equality for marginalized individuals and groups. These efforts have fallen far too short of our guiding principle that all are created equal. George Floyd's death has again ignited a dialogue and movement that needs to be continued so that we can all say that the actions and steps we take have the lasting and tangible effect of moving forward so people of color no longer feel threatened, unsafe, or silenced in our communities. Being white, the world reacts differently to me. I restate my commitment that I will continue to be an ally, offering support, working to effectuate changes in public policy, and speaking out when we encounter social injustice. I cannot personally identify with the pain and struggles others have felt in their lives and hearts purely because of the color of the skin. We need to weed out this horrible injustice that has plagued our society for far too long. I hope that we're able to come together to work on legislative reforms so when the time comes to leave this office, we know we left it better than when we arrived. On Thursday of this last week, this body unanimously passed Senate Bill 945. It is a small but necessary first step in the right direction to fight for social justice, equality in our state, and put an end to police brutality. We cannot be complacent. We need to maintain the momentum of this movement and demand change in law enforcement, education, healthcare, and government. Over the last week, my caucus has been standing up and speaking out against social injustice, but I was also angered and saddened to receive negative comments from individuals in my district about my caucus and passage of Senate Bill 945. It concerned me because two of these individuals I've known for over 35 years. One is a retired public school teacher who taught my son, and the other a retired municipal department head. I thought about how their prejudice towards people of color most likely influenced their decisions and actions, and I now question, how much of a role did it play in their careers and interaction with the students they taught or the community they served? This cannot continue to happen. We must acknowledge, educate, and work for change so people of color everywhere can feel safe and thrive in our communities and our state. As a legislator, I will continue taking action to support this movement to ensure that these complex problems are addressed, and I will continue to work with my colleagues and others for education and reform. As legislators, we have the unique privilege in this chamber. We have lived and witnessed a unique time in history during these past 6 months, first with COVID-19 and now with protests to demand action for equality. We have the ability to make changes through policy we enact that will impact future generations in moving forward. So when the time comes that we are no longer in office, we can say we fought against racial injustice and equality. I urge all my colleagues to come together to take up actionable legislation to help our communities so everyone, regardless of the color of their skin, feels safe, valued, and heard. To everyone who feels unheard, I hear you. To everyone who feels unseen, I see you. And together we can continue our fight for justice and peace in the state of Michigan. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like my remarks printed in the Senate Journal.